Hey, what's going on, guys? Blunt Guts here. This is a Watcher of Realms video. Thanks so much for tuning into my channel. I appreciate you joining me as I do go over the banners that we do have coming this weekend. And there's some bangers here. Well, there's really one banger, I guess. Unless you do count the 2x, which I think we might need to start doing. So in case you haven't been over to the summoning portal recently, let's head over there together. So sometime in the last week, the developers, in their infinite wisdom, they decided to release the rates for every single one of the heroes that is listed in this drop rates tab here. It's wonderful. What they've revealed is that there is an equal chance to summon any of the heroes in these different buckets. So if you pull a Lord, you have a equal chance to pull a Torador or a Leia. If you pull a normal legendary, you should have the same chance to pull a HATSSUT as you do to pull a Cratch, or the same chance to pull an Arrogance as you do to pull a Azor. That is amazing. Now, that's not how we historically understood this in the past. Several studies were done that did show that there were more common legendaries versus less common ones. The more common ones were typically less desirable than the rarer ones. So I think we need to kind of recenter the way that we're thinking about these banners. Personally, anecdotally, I have noticed that I've been getting higher rates for the heroes that I thought were rarer since, I don't know, the beginning of the year, maybe the end of last year, somewhere along those lines. So it does make sense to me. I do think that they did make an adjustment around that time, and they are now revealing the rates to us. In the past, people typically thought that the 2x was less valuable because you were more likely to pull less desirable heroes. But if that's not the case, then suddenly there's a value increase to the 2x banner. I think at minimum, if you are late, mid, early game, you don't have a full roster, then the 2x suddenly has a lot more value to you, and it's something that everybody should consider. I think if you're late game, if you have a very fleshed out roster, you have most of the normal heroes in the game, then I think that the 20x is probably still going to be better for you. Now, I'm working on some math that I will have out sometime in the next day or two, making a standalone video where I do kind of break down exactly how this impacts your summoning chances. And I'm going to try to project some expected values for how summoning on the 2x versus summoning on a 20x banner should impact your account long term. But until then, I think it's just something that we should all keep in mind when we are pulling our summons. Now, moving on from the 2x, let's take a look at this banging banner that we've got going on right here. We've got a special invocation of spirits as well as a special divine summoning for Twila and HATSSUT, two amazing nightmare units. It's rare that you get a raid up banner that has two units that are really, really good. And in this case, Twila and HATSSUT are both phenomenal heroes. If I was comparing the two, I would say HATSSUT is by far the better hero, the more versatile hero, the hero that is more useful in a number of different areas. However, Twila is an amazing boss killer. She does have a significant defense ignore component to her kit, and that makes her just beautiful for Guild Boss 2. If you are struggling there, she is huge there. She's also pretty good at sticks, although she is not meta for that codex. The other thing that we should note is that there is a new epic that is going to be on this banner for the first time. Phelan is her name. She is a poisoner. I'm not going to go through her kit. I do have a standalone video that I will have linked in the description of this video. You can go check out my breakdown of her skills, but suffice it to say, you know, I don't think she's going to be game-changing by any means, but if you're trying to fill out your Pokédex, we all got to pull a copy of her, right? And what better banner to do so than on a banner with HATSSUT, with Twila? Let's go take a look at the awakenings for both of those heroes so you can get an idea of how many copies you should be looking to pull for each one. So let's start off with Twila. Badass hero, one of my favorites. She, of course, does have a bond skill with Hex, although it should be noted that Hex does not actually gain any damage from the bond skill. It is a survivability bond skill for him, so I'm not going to go through it, but she does gain a pretty significant bond skill if you do have Hex in your account, so that is going to increase her value. Let's go through the awakenings now. The A1, after triggering the ultimate 4 times, increases every single instance of deranged blade damage to 30%. At A0, deranged blade does 20% damage per hit, so when you do get the A1, it is a 50% increase to the damage that she gets from his skill, which is, in my experience, a very significant portion of her damage. The A1 is phenomenal. It is probably the single biggest awakening that she does have. The A2 is plus 300 attack. It's good, not great. Remember, this is going to be added to her base attack. This is going to be multiplied by all of the attack bonus stats that you do have on your gear. The A3 is ultimate duration plus 5 seconds. Now, this is a controversial one. Twila has this passive skill, Bloody Reprisal. Each time the ultimate is triggered, grants an extra 6% defense penetration during the next ultimate. That's going to go up to 10% when you do have her fully skilled up. It stacks up to 80% defense penetration, meaning that she is going to ignore 80% of the target's defense after after 8 activations of the ultimate. It is massively overpowered, especially against high defense targets like Guild Boss 2. So going back to the Awakenings here, the problem with the A3 is that it increases her ultimate duration by 5 seconds, meaning that it is going to increase the amount of time it takes until you get to max stacks of this defense penetration. So this means it will take you longer to get to max damage once you do have her at A3. So the longer the actual fight is, the less this matters, but in shorter fights like in Guild Boss 1, this is going to be an issue, certainly something that you should keep in mind. So ultimately, I'd say at best, the A3 is a push. It is not going to benefit you or hurt you, but in certain game modes, there may be an effect that is noticeable. I think the only really long fight where this does come into play right now is in Guild Boss 2, and that is the only place where this A3 could be considered a benefit. The A4 is plus 8% penetration. That's great. You're going to be able to ignore another 8% of the enemy's defense. And then the A5, upon taking fatal damage for the first time, becomes immune to death for 6 seconds and increases damage by 100%. This is nice. The 100% damage increases only for the 6 seconds. And unfortunately, this is just kind of a bad unyielding. It's not really worth pulling 6 copies of her for. Very limited usage. Think of Valeria as your test case here. How many different areas have you had to use Valeria's unyielding during her ultimate to your advantage as a specific mechanic that you need to use to beat a boss or something like that? There are a few places where it is valuable, no question about it, but it's not that many. And on top of that, you should also consider that Valeria is significantly better than Twyla's is. So ultimately, my perspective is the A2 is the one that you do want to shoot for. The A3 is controversial at best, and the A4 is solidly good. The A5 is not going to add to your damage. So as far as dealing damage, which is her job, the A2 is really going to put you at the top of the heap. I would keep that in mind if you are considering pulling on this banner. Let's go take a look at HATSSUT. Oh, HATSSUT, one of my first legendaries, one of my favorite legendaries. Always have a soft spot for her. She is fantastic in a number of different game modes, whether that's Arena, whether that's Void Rift, Guild Wars, Arena, just yeah, phenomenal in a lot of different areas. If I was trying to name her weakest areas, she is not somebody that you will be bringing into very many boss fights, and she is not great in codexes currently. Although she is all right in the Poseidon Codex, certainly not meta by any means. Let's go through her awakenings right now. So the A1, attack triggered bounce damage plus 5%. Her basic attacks do bounce to up to 2 other targets. So this is going to increase that damage by 5%. That's pretty nice. Nothing game breaking though. The A2 is plus 300 attack. This has a bigger impact on HATSSUT's damage than it did on Twyla's. Reason being that HATSSUT's base attack is about 60% of what Twyla's is. Hers is only about 3,700 at A0 or A1. So getting an extra 300 base attack is almost a 10% increase to her base attack. It's very, very significant. I thought it was pretty noticeable. I think especially if you are endgame, this is one of the few places that you can increase this hero's stats, so definitely an important one in my mind. The A3 is Ghastly Stealth duration plus 10 seconds. This is going to put Ghastly Stealth at 50 seconds, I do believe. So solid, but utility. This is not going to increase your damage at all. The A4 is plus 8% penetration, always nice. Ignoring a percentage of the opponent's defense is definitely welcome. And the A5, one of the best A5s in the game, Ghastly Burst duration plus 1 second. Typically, Ghastly Burst does have a 4-second duration, so adding another second onto it is essentially up to a 25% increase to her damage during the ultimate, and the ultimate is kind of her defining trait. It is massive damage. It is massive AoE damage to up to 5 targets. Gotta love it. Gotta love a massive increase to a massive bit of damage. Getting that A5 is pretty big and is something that I certainly have wanted for a very, very, very long time. Now, unfortunately, I am kind of tapped out. Otherwise, I would probably be going all in for this, but I don't know how much I'm actually going to be pulling this weekend. With that said, if you are pulling, there is no stopping point for HATSSUT. Get her to A5, max out that value, especially if you are a GVG player. I do think that she is going to be a mainstay in GVG in perpetuity. So I think this is going to be a wise investment for you long term. Definitely love this hero. Definitely love that A5. And that is going to do it for me, guys. Again, if you do want some more information on Phelan, the new epic poisoner that is coming out, that's this lady right here, then please follow the link in the description of this video where I do break down her skills. Again, you know, she's an epic. She applies magic resist reduction. She poisons enemies. She has kind of Ajax range, which is cool. Cool stuff. Not crazy powerful by any means based on what I've seen, but I do think that she is going to be an interesting addition to the game. I would caution you, poisoners in the past have not really done all that well in this game. So sound off in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. Are you going to be pulling this weekend? Are you tapped out like I am? and you just got to start saving again, because you know the anniversary is only a couple months away at this point, and you know they're going to be doing a lot of stuff trying to tempt us to spend during that anniversary. So let me know what your plans are. Looking forward to hearing them. Please, if you did enjoy this video, take a minute, click that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel if you do want to see more of my stuff going forward. It really does mean the world to me, so thank you in advance if that is something you can do. I would really appreciate it. And with that said, I will catch you all next time.